Welcome back. In this Cover Your Assets CYA video, we're going to review the recovery script. Why is this even necessary? Well, let's first take a few minutes and discuss what's happening here. If you mess up a single file, and you know what that file is, you may simply restore that file by doing a cp command, a copy command. Let's say, for example, you're editing the etc or etc fs tab because you need to add in a new drive. And you mess it up. You know you messed it up. Before you even restart your computer, like, oh, I didn't mean to, and you saved your changes. Maybe you got distracted or something, and you know you messed it up. Well, you may simply go into one of your snapshots, restore points, whatever you want to call it, and copy the etc etc fs tab in there back to your root file system and just overwrite your changes. You've restored it before you even restart your computer. No problem. However, if it's more serious than that, maybe you ran an update and there's a bunch of things aren't right, or you don't know what files were updated, or you're concerned someone got into your system and made some system changes, then you need to do a more extensive rollback, a recovery, a restore, however you want to say it. Now, I need to say something here, and there's two words I'm going to mention. And these words are not pleasant words for many. They're curse words in a lot of ways. A lot of people consider them highly offensive. And I hope you'll just bear with me because I'm going to set this up. There's a reason I'm mentioning this. So maybe you want to get the kids out of the room. Okay, the two words I'm going to tell you are Microsoft Windows. I know, I realize, I know. But there is a feature in Microsoft Windows that when I used to run Windows desktops, which I don't anymore, I do have some Windows VMs for testing purposes. But when I used to run Windows desktops, bare metal Windows, and I still have friends, family, and clients I need to support that run Windows, there is a very important feature in there that has saved me many times, and friends, family, clients, called System Restore. Perhaps you've used it, heard of it. System Restore allows you in a Windows system, assuming it's on, and occasionally I'd find systems where it wasn't on and needed it, and it was like, uh-oh, now you're having to reinstall Windows. But System Restore has saved me many times from having to reinstall Windows, which is a multi-day process. Yes, you can reinstall Windows in an hour or two, and then you run updates for the next 5 hours, but then you got to reinstall all the programs, install this exe, install that exe, install the next exe, go to the next exe, set this program up, set that program. I mean, you're literally dealing with it for days, and then later on you're like, oh, I'm missing this program. Versus Linux, you make a batch script, done, you're gone, done, like 2-3 hours. You know, if you're on a decent connection, you can get a Linux system up and running easily in a day. But System Restore many times saved me because I would just roll it back to a previous point in time and it was fixed. Occasionally it wouldn't. It was rare. Most of the time it would fix it. Assuming it wasn't a really like a bad virus or obviously hardware related. I mean, if the hard drive's dying or something, well, we're taking that out of the equation. But the point being is Windows also had this thing called safe mode, which is interesting. You could boot into this environment, you get a little GUI, and yes, you could do safe mode command prompt, safe mode with networking, and just standard safe mode. And it would start most programs as this protected environment that did give you a GUI. And then you could go to, I believe it's under accessories. That's where System Restore would be. Don't hold me to that, but I think it was. I have to look it up. I've forgotten. Anyway, you would roll back the system if you were in safe mode. No problem. Well, assuming it could. And most of the time it could. And then your system would hopefully start. It would just boot normally. You'd just let it go. If you need to go into safe mode, you could hit F8 as Windows was booting and then pick from that list. But there were times that it would still happen when things were funky, not working right. There was some maybe configuration file that was messed up. Occasionally I would do a rollback because I wanted to remove something. Because you see, just like what CYA is for, System Restore would not change your user data. So in your user directory under things like XP, it was my docs. Later in like Vista and Windows 7 and so forth, there's just documents. And then say your JPEGs from your digital pictures to your trips around the world or whatever, those wouldn't be touched. System Restore was just rolling back the system, so you'd have to reinstall programs or that kind of thing. Well, the directories would be there, but they wouldn't be in the registry, and well, we won't go down that road. Anyway, System Restore was just for the system. System Restore. Not backup, it was System Restore. That's what Cover Your Assets is. It's to restore your system, not your user data. So you need to be backing that up in your actual user data, say in your home directory, in another way. But anyway, let's continue on. If you put it into Windows normally, under normal operation, and you could still go to System Restore, it would start the process, but then it'd have to restart the computer, hold loading Windows completely, and then finish the task, and then go boot into Windows. And most of the time it did. Honestly, for using Windows System Restore, for, I don't know, 15-ish years, between 15 and 20 years, somewhere in there, it rarely didn't work, as long as the underlying hardware was not messed up. So I will give Microsoft Windows credit for that. I know, I hope the kids were out of the room. Well, if you need to roll back your whole Linux system, you should not do it with it running. You need to reboot into a live environment using either a disk, or more commonly this day and age, a USB stick, or a network image, kind of jump starting it, if you will. Once you've loaded into your live environment, then you can restart the recovery process because you're no longer loading off of the installed OS. Now, it could be that your Linux OS or whatever OS, I'm just going to say Linux for the most part, so if you hear Linux, just substitute if you're using another OS like Solaris or something. I'm just going to say Linux. There will be a few times I'll mention it, but just plug it in that. Then you can start the recovery process once you have booted up a live Linux image. However, you need to mount your drives in a certain way, and thus that's where this recovery script right here gets in. And so I'm going to go over that recovery script and explain what the recovery script's doing. Now, before I do that, I want to say this too. I have found out that it is best to use a live image in the same release of Linux that is in your install, at least major release. For example, if you are running a Ubuntu system, a 1604, I have found out that it is best to use a 1604 live image disk or USB stick or network image. I have found that with 1604 there's been some problems using, say, for example, a 1710 image. Now, it seems to be fine if you're, say, using Ubuntu Mate or Mint and you use Ubuntu disk, live disk, because those are in the same family. But I would stick with the same family. So if you're using Fedora, use a Fedora, whatever, and I would stick with at least in the same major version. Now, it's okay if, for example, if you have 1604.3 installed and you're just using a 1604, that's fine. But don't have a 1604 and try and use a 1710 disk, for example. Or once 1804 comes out, don't try and use a 1604 image for 1804. I think it's just best, you're going to get the best experience if you just keep it the same. It shouldn't matter, but I have found out sometimes you get little quirks, so I just keep that in mind. You can try it, but that's my advice. So let's go over making this recovery script, and then I'm going to explain it, although you don't have to stick around when I get into the code. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and cd into home/CYA, ls this, and you'll see here we have three entries. We have CYA.conf, last run, last_run, those are files, and then we have the directory points, which is where all the backups are stored. Now, to make a recovery script, you type in CYA space script, CYA space script, hit enter. It will ask me, you'll see here, generating recovery script. It's going to ask me for my sudo password. I'm going to go ahead and enter that. And you'll see here it says complete. And it says this script will only mount the root / and /home I mean, it will mount /var/etc, all that kind of thing. But it's not going to say, let's say, for example, you have an external hard drive that you mount at /external or /NAS. It's not going to mount that there. Or even if you have it in your home directory, you have /home/ your username /NAS, it's not going to mount those. It's only concerned with mounting the base operating system like /var/etc/user USR and getting home mounted. And continuing on anyway, it says, thus, if you're storing data on another mount point, open the recovery.sh script and add additional mount point command where necessary, or mount points. This is also a best guess, and so it should be tested before an emergency to verify it works as desired. Now, let me just also say this. If you are, say, have an external hard drive, or maybe you use Nextcloud or some kind of, or FreeNAS or something, and you have a mount point that you do, you don't have to mount that, and you shouldn't mount that for this recovery process to get to your files. This is only necessary to get /home/CYA, because that's where your backup points are, and it needs the root / to do the restore. So if you have, say, 3 external hard drives that are mounted all the time, and you have /external1, /external2, /external3, that's not the point. You don't have to mount those. We're not concerned with those. But if for some weird reason you decide to put /var on another drive, well, you need to make sure and go add that, because we need to do a restore against /var. So for most of you, if you're going, what? Then if you're doing a what, then you don't need to worry about it. Forget it, because you're not doing it. If you're doing it, you know you are, and thus, there you go. Now, okay, let me clear this and let's do an ls before I talk about. Okay, I ls this, and now we have 4 files instead of 2, and we still have the points directory. We have CYA and recovery.sh. Now, CYA, let's go over that first. That is a copy of the CYA program that's installed, as it is installed right now. Well, Jeremy, if it's installed now, why do we need another copy of it? Well, think about it. This is for a restore. We don't always know if the system's going to be okay. Let's say you installed this in user local bin, and user local bin disappears, and that's one of the reasons you're trying to restore this. Well, if we're depending on that path, we don't want to depend on that path being set. So everything is self-contained in /home/CYA. Now, the program is a copy of as it is today. Very important. The program is a copy of as it is today, or at least when you run it. So if you have version 1.3 installed, and then you upgrade to 1.4 when it comes out, 1.5 and 1.6 and 1.7 and 1.8, until you run CYA space script again, you will not get the updated version. So you could have CYA 1.8 installed, but the CYA in this folder may be CYA 1.3, which is not ideal, because new features will come out. If there are any minor bug fixes, they'll be fixed. So ideally when you put a new version of CYA on here and you check the version, you should ideally run CYA script again, so it will update what's installed here. And you can check the version by CYA, then type in version and hit enter. It'll go out and check it on GitHub, and you'll see here latest version. Anyway, if you find this is different, then you put CYA on your system. You should then run CYA script again to simply update and get the latest version. Now let's focus on recovery.sh. This is important. You can do this all manually, and I'm going to show this in a few moments. You can do this manually, but if you want to do it the easy way, this is it. That recovery.sh script, what it's going to do is it's going to create the necessary mount folder where CYA is looking for it, which is going to be MNT, mount for short, CYA. That's the mount point that the recovery script is looking for. It's also going to go ahead and mount your drives. And it does a best guess. It looks at what the partition schemes, where those are. It's going to look where your root file system is. If that's dev SDA1, it will note it as that. If it's dev SDB1, it will note it's that. If it's dev SDA3, it will note it. That's your root system. If it sees that /home is on another partition, maybe dev SDD1, maybe you've split them, then it will note that that is the drive. So what that means is this recovery.sh script will not always work across every system. If you had 5 systems in your house, and say two of them slash home there was just one partition, dev SDA1, but the other three, some of them were home was on dev SDA2 or SDB1 or something like that. It wouldn't work in there. The partitions need to match up. Now, if you're in a business with 20 computers and they're partitioned all the same way, then sure, this will work. Then one recovery script will work across all of them. But the partition points matter. Now, you should copy this to a thumb drive or a external hard drive. Because when you stick in, say, your thumb drive, you boot off your thumb drive onto Ubuntu 16.04. And maybe you hate Ubuntu. We're just sake of, for example here. But you boot off your Ubuntu 16.04 image. So that's in USB slot 1. Once you've booted in there and you've tried Ubuntu, you then stick in USB thumb drive you stick a USB thumb drive, your second one, into USB port 2. Then that will come up and you'll have this recovery.sh script in there. And then you can run that. That'll automatically create the mount as CYA. It'll automatically mount, say, dev SDA1 is slash, and it'll automatically mount, say, dev SDB1 as, say, slash home. And it will put that in the necessary directories to restore. And then it will run the restore function, which will be in this directory here, slash home slash CYA, and it'll run that CYA. And then you'll be fine to update your system because you're not using your installed system, you're off a live image. And in fact, this won't work in a live system. In fact, let me show you. If I try and do a restore now, you'll see it won't work. You'll see it tries to restore, failed. Restore command doesn't work when your system is booted off the installed OS. Please boot off a live image and try again. So that's what. So copy this onto a thumb drive or an external hard drive. Now, let's say you have 5 computers and they're all different. Well, you obviously can't call that file recovery.sh and at least put them all in the same directory. Kind of have a name clash there. So you either can make different directories or you can rename recovery. Maybe you call it Dell.sh and HP.sh and System76.sh. Or maybe you just call it Dan.sh because that's Dan's computer, and then Mary.sh because one's Mary's computer. Or maybe you just call it Desktop.sh and Laptop.sh and whatever, Pi.sh. Whatever you want to call it. So, but somehow you need to get those recoveries.sh before, and you can rename them. They don't have to be recovery. You can call them whatever you want. Now, this should be done before the system has a problem. Like making a Windows 95 boot disk or a Windows XP boot disk, you should make that before, Windows isn't working. You should do this before you can't use your system. And I would periodically update these recovery.sh scripts, at least with hardware changes. If you change your partition schema, you need to update the recovery.sh. If you get a new hard drive, like I said, and now you're no longer using, maybe you split it onto 2 hard drives, you move home onto a second hard drive because it's bigger, and you're like, yeah, I now have a 5 terabyte. 5 gigs would be nothing. 5 terabyte, and you move home over there. Well, and now instead of all in just one partition, you need to update recovery.sh. And again, whatever you call it. So right before, if you're not interested, run CYA space script. You can run it over. It's fine. It will just recopy CYA. It updates the recovery.sh. Make sure you copy that onto a thumb drive, an external hard drive, so you can plug that in and get that when you boot off a live image. That's it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show, for those that are interested, what the recovery script is doing real quick. It won't take that long. If you don't care, you may continue on to the next video. So I'm going to VI this. Now, this is a very simple script, as you can see. First we have the bash. It's telling the system to use the bash shell. Then next we have, it's going to sudo make dir -p / mount, basically mnt / CYA. What this -p is doing, if you're not familiar, is it won't make any parent directories that are necessary, which is really nice. So if you want to make, say, a bunch of subdirectories and they don't exist, if you use that -p, it will make any directories that don't already exist for you, instead of having to make one subdirectory, go in that, make the next subdirectory, and then make the directory you want. You can just simply issue it and it will do all of them. Then next we're going to mount the root file system with sudo mount .dev/SDA1. This was read off the system. Yours might not be that. Yours might be SDB1 or SDA3. And then it's going to mount that at the mount point up here, or, well, the directory it created. So it'll have /mnt/CYA. Then we're going to have the mount. Then it's going to mount the home partition. That's only if it's on a separate partition. If it's just you had one unified partition, you would only see this. Or if you had home and the root on one, and then you had created a different partition for, say, some data, you had /data or something, it would still only be one partition. Then here's where you can come down here and do a line break. And, well, I'm in VI, so I can't click, but you could come down here and hit enter and add in additional mount points. But remember, you don't have to put mount point for, say, your NAS. You only need for the system to do the restore. That's all that's necessary. You just need to mount the drives to do the system, or partitions to do the system restore. If you have other partitions for your actual user data or external hard drives, forget them. You don't need them for this. When you reboot, you need them, but you don't need them for this. Then it's going to echo to tell you what command you should run to run the restore, which is sudo /mnt/CYA/home/CYA/CYA restore. Wow, Jeremy, that's a lot of CYAs. Yeah, because the mount point is this. I want to pick something that wasn't going to be there for sure. And then we have our home CYA and then the program. And then lastly, it's going to run right what it tells you. It's going to go ahead and execute it for you, so you don't have to type it in. So you go right into the restore. So that's all it's doing. You can see here there's nothing secretive about it or anything like that. That's all the restore script is doing. And that's it. So I'll see you in the next video, because coming up we are going to talk about actually doing, and I'm going to show restoring a system. Going to take it into a non-working state, and then we're going to bring it back into a working state. See you in the next video.